favorite time of the year, Wendell? Fall. Because I know winter's coming, and I don't mean that in the meme way. I mean that winter's awesome, but fall's great, man. Are you guys enjoying fall down there in the southern areas? Southern?
No, it's much too hot and terrible.
Oh. Well, I'm pretty much just like eating pumpkins all day, every day, and watching the beautiful fog go across the river. Everything's nice and peaceful right now. So, let's just continue with that beautiful, peaceful energy and talk about Anonabox, shall we? I want to know how many of you guys out there have backed this on Kickstarter, Anonabox. What Anonabox is it's basically a small Wi-Fi router that you can pick up on Alibaba, which is, you know, a basic, well, no, I'm not even, why would I even try to explain what Alibaba is? I'm not going to do it. But anyway, you can pick it up on Alibaba, a Chinese website that hooks you up with, wholesalers and retailers. You can pick up this little box on there, and then you can go home and install OpenWRT or whatever, and then you can, get Tor working on there and use the Tor network to browse the internet somewhat securely. And right now, people are kind of freaking out because, at first here, if you look at the guy's Kickstarter, you scroll down, he's talking about, hey, we went through all these prototypes, they were very expensive, and it almost makes it look like he did a lot more than he really did. I mean, come on, dude. You got a thing on Alibaba, and you installed something that any end user could do. Maybe you up the ROM or the RAM or something a little bit like that, but come on. Come on, man. This is a very simple thing that I'm sure any of our members could do in 5 minutes. And you've done it here, and here's what gets me. He was trying to raise $7,500. Right now, it's at $591,000. That is ridiculous. And it's also based on Tor. And, version 4 of Tor is out right now. And they fixed a few things, but as far as security goes overall, I don't think there is a truly perfectly secure way to browse the internet. And they're kind of marketing this as being secure. Let me tell you what happens if you use Tor. If you're someone who's using Tor, number one, it's going to make you look suspicious because the whole, these guys really, really care about their privacy. Let's just give them a ton of scrutiny and figure out what the hell they're trying to hide. I don't know what it is about Tor, but whenever you want to exercise your right to privacy, they immediately think, oh, so you're up to something. I mean, the VPNs to a lesser extent, but Tor has a bad reputation. So it's got that going for it, but that doesn't make it bad. No, it's still a decent thing. Here's what makes it kind of iffy to me. The problem with Tor is that everything has to go through an exit node, and when things go through an exit node, they're generally not encrypted unless they've fixed everything, and I'm missing it somewhere. But law enforcement officials, F.B.I., the equivalent in other countries in Europe and that sort of thing, are running exit nodes, and they're running a lot of exit nodes. I'm not sure how many exit nodes, but they're running exit nodes. So if you end up using one of their exit nodes, you could be compromised. So I don't care for that, not one bit. I don't know, am I saying things correctly here?
Yeah, it really depends on what kind of privacy you want as to whether or not Tor will deliver it. There is nothing better than Tor for certain kinds of privacy. But if you want a daily driver of privacy, or you just want to keep, your snooping ISP out of your business, I'm not really sure Tor is a good fit. If you've got, the secret recipe for Toll House cookies and you don't want Toll House to ever be able to find you, chances are Tor is a good bet. If you're the next Snowden, I don't know that Tor is enough. So, or that Tor is enough for continued use, unless you, change up your location and where you're coming from and, free coffee, Wi-Fi, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But Tor 4 does address a lot of issues. Tor 4 addresses some minor underlying architectural issues that have been exploited by the intelligence community that we know of. But the Anonabox, the hardware, Alibaba is like the eBay of stuff you can get from Chinese OEMs. And what probably happened is the Anonabox was probably like a VoIP adapter for somebody like Vonage, or some large company commissioned the creation of the hardware that's in the Anonabox. And the Anonabox guy was like, oh, this almost works. We need to add a little bit more flash storage to it, tweak it a little bit. And this platform will be perfect because it's got an Ethernet in and an Ethernet out like you would see with a VoIP adapter. So my guess is this Chinese company on Alibaba had some extra, or they had all their tooling set up to make these, And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I could buy enough of those. 7,500 would be enough to get a mass production run in. Let's do that. Let's do the flash upgrade, and then we'll have a thing." Which by itself is not nefarious. So he might be getting a harsher rap than he really deserves. But then it's like, "Oh, we're doing all these prototypes and we're doing all this stuff," and it's like, "Well, okay, let's see the prototypes. Let's see the other stuff." And then the code is kind of amateurish and not really affiliated with the guy apparently, so that's sort of a red flag. And you can do all this yourself with OpenWRT and then the Tor plugin for that. So $45
you can do it.
is maybe.
You could do it with OpenWRT. You can do it with pfSense. You could do it with just about anything. And if you look at, I found it here on Alibaba right about now. Wendell, where did I put that? Right there it is. Okay, it's these things are like $21, $21.80 a piece. And if you're buying them in volume, I imagine it would be even cheaper. But let's say he, upgraded a few specs. He's still going to probably be getting these things for like under $30. So
that's a pretty good margin.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I don't know
I don't
that's
have
a
a problem with what he's
usurious.
doing.
I don't know it's a usurious profit margin, but it's a pretty healthy profit margin. It should have probably been a little bit more upfront about it because he's got a nice little startup business now. But he's probably also going to have a lynch mob calling for blood too. So probably should have talked to the developers and been like, "Hey, I'm going to do this." Probably should have talked to the guy at Alibaba, just in case. So entrepreneur gone wrong. I don't know. He's certainly not a criminal. We've seen worse on Kickstarter. This is not at the far end of the spectrum as far as Kickstarter projects that have gone horribly wrong go.
It seems like he means well, but bottom line for me, just like you said, this is not a daily driver, guys. Tor is not a daily driver at all, not even close, because it is going to slow down your network connection a lot. If you're looking for security, it's not the best way to do it. Yeah.
And there's all those stories that we reported on about how the feds come to raid you because it's like, "Oh, we saw something coming from your IP address and we didn't know. We're going to inconvenience you by taking all your stuff and keeping it."
Yeah, but and then you're gonna have to pay for a new door and everything once they kick it down. So yeah, it could be. No, I wouldn't do it. All right, let's talk about other things that say that they're private but may not actually be private. So there's an app, right? And what's this thing called? Whisper, I believe it's what it's called. I don't use this, but it's supposedly a secure chat app. And I'm just going to mention this and then keep on moving. Well, apparently the Guardian decided to do a story, and they were able to obtain some information. And it looks like the Whisper. They say that nothing is logged, your location is not logged, your username is not logged, and none of that. Nothing is. It's just a completely secure chat. Well, apparently that's not true. The Guardian, with just a simple login password, was able to see users, private information and locations as well, and the locations were accurate within a 500-meter radius. So if you're someone who is using Whisper, you probably want to, take a look at this. And it's funny because some of the quotes on here were like, this is when I hear, "I'm so glad this app is anonymous. The press would have a field day if they knew some of the stuff I post on here." Yeah. More things to watch out for.
Should I not have published that on the internet?
No, shouldn't have done that.
My favorite thing was apparently, what was the context of letting the newspaper get access to like a dashboard? The developers were just like, "Hey, check out this cool thing that we made. All these anonymous things are collected over here in this bucket, and we built this great search engine where you can search it." And it's like, "I'm sorry, is this a Skunkworks project for the NSA? I thought this was an app."
I don't remember exactly what the yeah, I've read it early this morning. I don't remember. Oh well. So just be on guard with that one. All right, let's talk about Dorian Nakamoto. Dorian Nakamoto is the dude who Newsweek, according to Leah, what's her name, Graff, I believe, or no, Leah McGrath Goodman, she decided that this dude created Bitcoin, and we talked about him several episodes ago. But his name's Dorian Nakamoto, the guy who apparently originally created Bitcoin was named Dorian Nakamoto. This guy's pretty smart and really good at math. Holy shit, an Asian guy that's smart and good at math. And pretty much that's it.
Obviously.
She's like, therefore, this guy has, created Bitcoin. That's it. And right now, it's all circumstantial evidence. There's no smoking gun. There's not even anything close to a smoking gun. And above and beyond all that, you know what Leah McGrath Goodman did? She went and she harassed his family, showed up at his home, bothered him, followed him around, knocked on his door. It's just unbelievable. This fucking woman. I'm sorry. This it's unbelievable what she did. And then after that, Dorian Nakamoto and everything. He did a few interviews and he's like, I didn't do this. This is not me. And so, in order to, Newsweek did not apologize. What they did instead was they were like, no, this is definitely him. They released statements that this is definitely him. So here he is saying that the Newsweek article hurt his family. Where's that link at? And he now has he's trying to sue them. There we go, Newsweek Live. Let me open this up here so you guys can see. So he's trying to sue them, but he needs a little money to do so. He's apparently, living hand to mouth right now, living as frugally as he can, and this has brought a lot of unwanted attention to his family and done some actual damage to him. So I don't know if you guys have it in your heart. I may donate some bitcoins here or something, because if you see interviews with this guy, he just seems like the most genuine, down-to-earth, regular guy. If he is, really is the guy who created Bitcoin, he's the best straight-faced, nonchalant liar I've ever seen, and I am scared to death of him. But the vibe I get from him is more like, okay, the guy seems to be telling the truth. I don't know. And there's just no evidence.
I mean, my read of him is that he doesn't seem like he's the inventor of Bitcoin. He seems like just, seems like sort of a kindly old man, and there's not a lot more that I can read from the situation. So if you have time, it probably would be good to contribute to his defense, if for no other reason, even if he is Nakamoto of the, even if he did create Bitcoin, I'm not sure that he deserves this level of harassment.
Yeah. If he wants to remain, if he wants to, his life to be private, then he should be, allowed that privacy. All right, why are we talking about Christopher Columbus? Oh yeah, it was Columbus Day this week, and I'm going to make this quick, but because this mass murdering Hitler on a boat still has a holiday here in the USA. I'm not sure if he does elsewhere in the world, but yeah, Christopher Columbus sailed over here and started murdering people. I believe it was more in the Dominican Republic, but yeah, just sailed over here, started raping everything that moved, killing everything that moved, and just having fun. He would test the sharpness of his sword by cutting off people's legs and heads, and just fun stuff like that. And so we decided to celebrate him. And you know what else blows my mind? If in this day and age, besides the fact that in America we still call natives Indians and we still call bison buffalo, which makes no sense. Those are both errors from back in the day. They're like, oh, look, it's a buffalo, because that's what it wasn't. Anyway, all these stupid things still exist. And, now we have modern science. We have, never mind. Why do we still have Christopher Columbus Day as a holiday? He didn't discover, America, because my people were already here. I'm a Cherokee man. I'm a part of this much Cherokee, whatever. So that's like me sailing over to Spain right now and being like, I have discovered this for the Cherokees. And then I just start slaying people. Like, this is ours. I have discovered this. Until I was here, it did not exist. And then there's another article here that says it looks like the Irish might have arrived before Columbus. And then we also have, the Vikings arriving before Columbus. So I don't understand.
I would much
Wendell.
rather celebrate discovery by the Irish with whiskey and that sort of thing.
Yeah, or discovery by the Vikings with the horn of ale or something. I don't know, mead, whatever they had.
I don't know. The Vikings are pretty depraved too. I don't know that we've really traded one for the other.
I don't think the Vikings would have done. I don't think Hitler would have done some of the things that Columbus did. Anyway, yeah, you guys can read some of these things if you want to, if you want your blood to boil a bit. But yeah, when our generation comes of age, I suppose, and the older idiots who still seem to value Christopher Columbus, when they die off, let's just make sure that it's not a thing anymore. That would be nice, everybody. All right, what's next on the list here? Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. The new Crazy Cart XL has been finished. If you guys have seen the Crazy Cart, it was. Let me just go ahead and forward to this guy driving around, because that's. I want this thing. I want this thing bad. It is freaking awesome. I'm scared to play much of this video. We got a copyright warning from. Remember that cat quadcopter video we played about a week ago or so, or 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Oh yeah.
So we got a copyright complaint with those guys, and I've been dealing with them. A company, like a media management company in New York, and now they've got their lawyer on it and all this stuff, and they're going back and forth. I'm like, just release the copyright claim and we won't have to sue you, because I will sue your ass.
That's
Anyway.
insane. For us talking about the flying cat being silly,
Yes.
that doesn't even make sense.
Yes. So, and right now they're all considering their action, what they're going to do next. I'm like, there's no considering. There is only you releasing the copyright, unless you want to go to court, because I'm very serious about this. So yeah. But anyway, I'm letting this play, hoping that these guys on Crazy Cart TV are awesome, and right now we are enhancing their market and telling people that this is a very cool device, and you guys should go and watch the video on your own, and you guys should maybe even purchase one of these things if you'd like to slide around sideways and have a lot of fun. So there, we've enhanced their market. Fair use. Gonna justify everything that we look at on the internet now by those terms. So there can be no mistake. What we have done here is for commentary. So I went off on a rant on that while watching the Crazy Cart video. I really want one of these things.
That's worse than the Microsoft shenanigans, where Microsoft is like, oh, let's take down all the videos about everything.
Okay, why did our video not get taken down? So Microsoft hired a marketing firm to make sure that their reputation on YouTube was good. So they just basically went online and started taking down all kinds of videos. And they even took down some videos that had that they were just a guy like sitting in a chair talking without any assets from Microsoft. No screenshots, nothing.
Apparently it was because certain YouTube comments contain serial numbers, or at least that's what they're saying for Windows. So,
okay.
God help us if somebody's got the old, Windows 2000 or it's the Office 2000 serial key that starts with DT3FT. Oh my God, no! Take down the internet.
Oh God, it's wonderful. All right, let's talk about piracy. You like talking about piracy? How about some of that? They've been doing a lot of studies, and everyone does studies. The MPAA and the RIA and all these other was it GEMA in Germany? Everybody does studies, but apparently when a neutral study comes out, it says some very interesting things. So in Australia, they did a study and found out that a lot of the younger teens don't pirate that much. Like 12 and 13-year-olds, they don't pirate that much. But 14, 15, and 16, they do. But it's still like under 50% of the population pirating. That is a pretty high number. But through this study, what they discovered was that the people who pirate are also the people who buy stuff or pay for stuff or do things legitimately or go out and see the movie. So the more they pirate, the more they also legally consume media and give money to these companies. How does that work? Is it just the fact that maybe those people like to consume media? Here's my theory, because Australia kind of gets screwed by the industry. Like a movie or something will come out in the USA and it'll be released in the USA for like 3 months, and then there'll be like no Australian release date, because they've got to translate it into Aussie, all that kind of stuff. They got to add in all the weird twangs and everything. So maybe put a kangaroo in there so that it'll sell in that market. So they do not release it. But there's a lot of people over there who don't care about kangaroos and twangy accents. They just want their media, and they want it right now, so they have to pirate it so that they can see it. And also, it's kind of weird because we're in a global world right now, and there's people in America who are talking about these things, and people in the UK and Germany and Finland and whatever who are talking about whatever happened on the latest episode of whatever the hell you're watching, and they haven't seen it yet. And they're like, well, man, all my friends are spoiling this. I better go pirate this. They have no choice, is what I'm saying. So if the content companies could get their act together and figure out that this is a global world and everything is digital, just make everything digital, give us legal options, and then we will, we'll do it, man. Speaking of that, guess who's doing that? HBO. Starting in 2015, HBO is going to start offering stuff without the need of a cable subscription. Right now there's HBO Go, but in order to qualify for HBO Go, you have to log in through your, with using your ISP or some nonsense like that. You have to basically, not ISP, your television provider. You have to basically prove that you have a plan that allows you to have HBO. Next year, they're going to break from that. I'm sure they're still going to keep that, but they're going to give you legal ways to watch their content online. I'm very excited about that. And guess who else is doing this? CBS.
No, it's like the stupid gene is getting washed out of their system. It's infectious, the non-stupid.
$5.99 is probably more than I would pay for CBS. I don't know. Are there any good shows on there? I don't really care about Big Bang Theory. I'm sorry, guys. That's like faux nerdism, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really.
It's like, it's got a couple fun. I've seen a couple funny scenes here and there, but it's like just the watered down stuff. I guess it's all right. Whatever. If you guys like it, you guys can like it. I don't hate you that much. I'm only an elitist on Sundays. It's what is it? Thursday now. Okay, so I can't do this. So yeah, they're going to be doing that. $5.99, and I'm wondering who else is going to be following suit over the next few years. My biggest worry, Wendell, is what if we get the same kind of shenanigans from Verizon and Comcast and Time Warner that we had with Netflix? Do you think that those guys are going to, I don't know, purposefully clog up the lanes or the what's the word I'm looking for? Clog up the routes that all the traffic needs to go on?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. You know how
it's probably
I know?
Gonna happen.
Because cable TV is the biggest racket that there has been since the 70s. And you know how I know that? Because they're able to bundle crap channels that are run by their friends, family, and cronies, along with the channels that everybody else wants to watch. And so it's like, you will be taking ESPN 8 the Ocho if you want to watch HBO. It's like, what? No.
The Ocho. Well, where's that thing at? There's been a couple cities that have said no to the Comcast and Time Warner merger because of the customer service. Now, the first was Lexington, and that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But then Comcast in Worcester, Massachusetts decided they were going to come in, or didn't decide. They just kind of flex their muscles and said, hey, you guys, I forgot, Charter, I believe is who it was in that area. And Charter in that area actually did not have a data bandwidth cap, so it was a much better experience than you get when you're like out in Minnesota with Charter. That was terrible, but it's a very nice experience with Charter in that part of the world. Nicer than it is in other parts, but whatever. Comcast came in and they're trying to buy up Charter in that area and take it over. Well, the city of Worcester just voted no on that. This is not a definitive no, because I guess the council got together and they voted, and they still need whoever's in charge of signing this, they still need him to agree not to sign it. But they voted to tell him not to sign the deal. So who's the guy? Where's the guy that has to sign this?
In order for this to be a thing, it's going to have to be enough of the subscriber base for the companies to stand up and take notice. This we're talking about a subscriber base of about 30 million people, I think. I forget if that's between both companies or just the one. Like I forget if their combined forces is going to be 30 million. I think that's the case.
Yeah.
And so, but Lexington and this other place, and we'll sprinkle in 5 or 6 more smaller areas of about the same size that are going to do that. It's probably not even 500,000 subscribers.
I don't know. Worcester's pretty big. It's the second biggest city in Mass, right behind Boston. I'm not sure how many people are there, but I guess I can Wikipedia it. Somebody else will do it and put it in the comments. But you know what? Everyone must know right now.
I think that they're going to need at least 4 or 5 million subscribers, like that much area, for this to actually make a dent in them caring, because they'll be just, I mean, this could be a completely scorched earth thing. They could get together, the council of evil company runners could get together and be like, these people in Lexington, it's an upstart. All right, let's do away with cable in that entire area. We will blacklist them. There will be no cable television in Lexington ever. Would be the first time that's happened.
All right, Worcester is 182,544 people as of 2013 estimated, so it probably, I don't know,
cable TV subscribers is probably like 30%, if that. So it's a pretty small number.
Yeah. You were right. We're probably still not even at 500,000. Oh. All right. Firefox has added video, and they've added a lot of new things. I loaded up Firefox today and played around with it a bit. It's still... I'm in a spot where I'm like using Chrome because it's fast and slick, and I like the things you can do with tabs. I should probably switch over to Chromium. I guess I'll do that. I don't know.
Chromium, yes. Chromium.
Yeah, probably I switched over to Chromium on my main rig. I haven't switched over. This is the Windows 10 rig right here. But yeah, I should probably switch over to Chromium. But anyway, Firefox now has a direct competitor to Skype and Hangouts, and it's built right into the browser, and apparently it's going to be able to work with the app as well. So...
Sweet.
That could be interesting. And I do typically trust Firefox more than I trust Google or Apple or Facebook or, well, I guess Microsoft, because that's Skype. But I do trust these guys a little bit more. Look there
I don't trust Skype.
Red
Skype is
Panda.
hideously evil.
Yeah, it is. It's scary evil. All right, we got a couple car things to talk about. Elon Musk has weighed in on self-driving cars. He's got a version of their car coming out in pretty soon. It's going to be autopilot, so it's not exactly completely self-driving. It's, I guess, similar to the concept of autopilot with a jet or something. Like the driver is still responsible to make sure that the autopilot is not doing anything stupid. So you hang out there and it's like, hey, the car decided it wants to go upside down. Let's not do that. Let's just, fix it. But he thinks that in 5 or 6 years, we'll be able to get in a car, one of these, maybe his car, maybe in a few years, maybe one of the Google cars, maybe some car, maybe made by Audi, I don't know. Get in the car and lay down, and 5 or 6 hours later, wake up in the destination. Just, sleep the entire way there. That'd be kind of cool. I think I might actually like that more than an airplane, because airplanes, after you factor in all the time it takes to get to the airport and mess around and check your bags and have them fill your nuts and then get on the plane and sit there and sweat and all that junk, that's like several hours. It ends up taking like 6 hours. If I can drive just 6 hours and sleep in the back seat or work on my laptop, that might be a better way to do it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see land subway trains. I don't know a better way to describe it, where it's like a bus driver is driving a bus. So there's a bus driver in front, but then there are autonomous buses behind him that do nothing but follow the buses. And so you can have this very long caravan of buses hauling people, all run by one driver. It seems like that would be easier than a completely autonomous self-driving system. But interstate driving, as long as the interstates are well maintained and it's not a construction zone of insanity and no painted roads, of which there are quite a few, I can totally see this happening on longer trips. For short local roads, with all the craziness that can happen with short local roads, I don't know, because the onboard systems, we learned from the Google videos that the onboard things on Google only just recently got reasonably okay at dealing with pedestrians. So rocks and crap in the roads, that's probably not a good idea. 5 years is maybe optimistic. I'd say probably more like 10. But for following and lane changing and parking, we already have that today. It's on the really high-end vehicles. It's pretty close. You're not, it's not completely self-driving, but it's probably going to be something that bridges the gap. Unfortunately, stupid consumers are going to make this technology take longer than it should, because just as soon as Elon Musk puts something like that in there, you're going to have some idiot that does something that's obviously completely moronic and ruins it all for all of us. Like, he's at the end of a bridge that's under construction, and there's just rebar there where the highway should be, and he's like, oh, I'll just let the car deal with it, click, 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 and then he wakes up at the bottom of the river, and it's like, oh, this is Elon Musk's fault, and it's like, no.
And then what's going to happen? Well, even in the article with Elon Musk, he was like, even if this comes to fruition in 5 years, we're still going to have to wait several years more until the regulators are comfortable with it. So add to that the scenario you just described, and it's going to be a 10-year thing, because the regulators are going to have to deal with that, and then the public outcry, and then the idiots on CNN saying, this is more serious than Ebola, guys. This is going to wipe out humanity. That's what's going to happen. Be afraid.
A non-trivial amount of engineering went into the toaster, that makes bread, that makes toasted bread.
And sometimes fires.
That were taking a knife and shoving a knife into a plugged-in electrical with heating elements, so a non-trivial amount of engineering went into dealing with that scenario of people shoving a knife in a toaster. A self-driving car? It's just, there's no hope for society.
And then toasters, a lot of them have these stickers on the side that are like, do not use in bathtub, stuff like that. It's why is that sticker there? Oh, because someone had a genius idea. They're like, you know what? I could put a toaster right beside the bathtub, and in the morning when I wake up, I can just walk into the bathroom, press the toaster down, it'll pop up magical bagels, and I can eat the bagels while I'm leaning outside of the shower or sitting in the tub. So they had to put that there because that guy dropped the toaster in the tub and died.
I'm pretty sure that the whole reason the bacon alarm clock couldn't be commercialized was salmonella. And it's like, really? Do we not know how to handle bacon? Because it was an alarm clock that would cook bacon. It would start cooking bacon so that you would have the smell of bacon at the time that you wanted to get up. And it's like, I need that. But then it's like, no, I can't have nice things because someone's too stupid.
Oh God! Back to cars. Audi has their own self-driving car, and they've been doing a lot of work on these things as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the Two Spocks commercial with Leonard Nimoy, and I forgot the other guy's name. Oh my God, he's not as important. I'm sorry, man. if I ever see you like hanging out somewhere, just if we're like a bar in some state and you happen to be there, and there's a 0.00001% chance you'll recognize me, just come over and punch me. It'll be fine. Anyway, back to the self-driving cars. They have a self-driving car that was able to hit 190 miles an hour all by itself, and it's basically on it looks like a NASCAR track. Is it just a giant loop? Is that what it is? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's a video here if you guys wanted to watch. You guys could. The video of the Audi driving very, very fast. This is scaring me. Someone's going to copyright claim this. And every time I play a video now, I'm like worried. Everyone's so damned copyright crazy.
Go look at this. It's a news show. I don't understand. I think we're a news show. I mean, we're kind of a news show, kind of a backwater news show, but that's news.
Backwater news. I don't know. I think there may be special rules for backwater news channels. Hey,
there's no constitutional exception for backwater, so I think at least tenuously we are press. Damn it.
I mean, if Alex Jones can get away with it, then we should be able to get away with it, because that guy
is the Drudge guy. I mean, come on.
Anyway, let's have a quick talk about this. This episode may be going long. I don't even know, but I kind of want to talk about this for just a minute. It's IBM. Well, an IBM system was put into place in the city of Lancaster, California, which I believe is close to Los Angeles, maybe a part of Los Angeles. I may be completely wrong, but what I want to talk about is the future of local law enforcement. What this did was IBM came in and they put their system in place, and it looked at all of the data and just started crunching data, and then it started spitting out things like, hey, at 5 o'clock on Thursdays, we should have 2 extra squad cars hanging out around this area. And it actually significantly reduced crime over the several years, and they factored in the average annual benefit of $1.3 million or $1.344 million. Well, right there, you guys see it on the screen. And it looks like they have a 13,000% ROI from the investment they put into this. They were able to save money on hiring fewer police officers, and they were able to reduce crime as a whole. I don't know. Do you see anything wrong with this as far as being an invasion of privacy or anything like that? I haven't exactly mulled over all of it yet, but I kind of want to do that now and let the audience do it as well.
It's data mining for this kind of purpose. I think it's just taking the statistics of arrests and convictions and things like that. But the criminal element is not completely stupid. And so I think that, that the change here, the benefit from the system may have been just from a change up in pattern. And so year 2, year 3, year 4, as the criminals learn how to circumvent the system, we will really see the real ROI. The ROI may be from just changing things up versus doing what a system says. Because I think that if the police are using this as a tool to do better police work, then I think it's good. If the police are using this as a tool to turn their brain off and just blindly do what the computer says, oh God, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I don't know. Their brains are already off in a lot of places. There are some really cool cops out there. And if you're watching and you're a cool cop, then what's up? But I feel like in a lot of areas, I don't even know what's going on. You've seen the stuff that goes on YouTube and everything. It's a lot. Maybe they're the guys who just couldn't get enough bullying in high school, so they were like, I'm going to grow up and be a professional bully. So there's a lot of cops like that running around. I'm thinking a system like this may actually just direct them into the right areas and be okay. But the smart criminals are going to be like, hey man, let's mess with this IBM system. Let's do a few crimes over here in this area, and maybe the new guy can get caught, and then we'll do some crimes over here. And I don't know. It'd be basically like testing an electric fence. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. It's like, oh, they put it in an electric fence. Oh, the criminals now have wire cutters. Who knew?
I think we'll talk about the robot thing in the next episode. But in the next episode, we're actually going to talk about robots in the future, like the near to far future. But like when they become, I guess when the singularity occurs, we're going to talk about whether or not they should have legal rights.
I
It'd
think it'll be long before the
conversation.
singularity. I have an interesting take on this, but
Do
it's
you?
going to happen in manufacturing first because right now our economy and tax base and everything is labor based, and so it's like, what happens when the robots are doing all the labor? Uh-oh.
So that'll be coming up in the hardware, video games, and science episode that we're going to do very shortly. Well, you guys are going to see it probably in a couple of days, but yeah. All right, so Google Fiber. Google has been doing something that's kind of fishy, and it's making some people think that they may be testing out super high-speed wireless. So in San Francisco, they talked to the FCC, and they're like, hey, can we mess around a little bit? We want to play around with the 5.8 gigahertz bandwidth. We want to play with the 22 or 24.2 gigahertz bandwidth, frequency or whatever. And then they also want to play with the millimeter wave bandwidth, the 71 to 76 gigahertz and the 81 to 86 gigahertz. And those are super high speed. And, that's like, Google does stuff. They play with things. But what's interesting about this is the guy who signed off on this is the guy who is in charge of their fiber initiative. So what are they up to? What could be going on? A very high speed. I mean, that would also, it would make it a lot cheaper for them to deploy high speed internet. And Google is a company who wants everyone to be online. They benefit from everybody being online. It doesn't really matter what carrier. If Google's your carrier, they're happy, but they benefit from having everybody online. So I think it's kind of pointing in a direction that would say Google is testing out some uber high speed over-the-air technology, and that could be interesting. I feel like, the long-term future of the internet will have fiber, but I really think uber fast, just everything connected wirelessly is the way it's going to be, 20, 30 years down the road. Just if you go everywhere you go, there is like instantaneous almost internet, not like Ansible speed, not yet, but just uber fast internet everywhere. It's going to require quite a bit of infrastructure, but I think it would be easier and cheaper to deploy that than it would be to run fiber to everybody in the world. I don't know. What do you think?
I would much rather have fiber. Like, as a society, we owe it to ourselves to build out the fiber infrastructure. But the general physics of the architecture of wireless is that even the best LTE 11 billion channels, like anything that's mainstream, just doesn't support the density that you need in a metropolitan area for always on internet connections that are moving, 200 to 1,000 gigabytes a month of data. There's just, the physics of it just doesn't work. And it's a blanket statement, and I'm going to have a lot of neckbeards that are like, oh my God, it's not true. But the reality is, yeah, it's pretty much true. In order for this to be effective, there has to be a change in physics. And so what we need to look for are technologies like this technology eventually may come, and that may be like a more advanced version of beam forming technology. It may be electromagnetic vortexes that create a laser-like, beam of whatever, so that my signal doesn't interfere with yours, but they can occupy the same spectrum. And so that may be part of what Google's working on with all these exotic frequencies at 80 gigahertz and 20 gigahertz and 28 gigahertz or whatever it was. And if that's the case, then they may actually be able to squeeze out enough bandwidth to support a dense, populous area without everybody having to run an antenna and without everybody having to deal with all the insanity that is just sort of pervasive, always on, always connected, always a reasonable signal. It doesn't even have to be a good signal, but it's going to take fundamentally awesome new technologies that I haven't seen yet and something to prevent my signal from interfering with yours, because it's just not, the physics of it is just not there yet. If you look at like old radio waves, like old radio towers, 100 watt or 200 watt radio tower 70 years ago would go forever, but now there's so much interference and noise and crosstalk and all this other kind of stuff, the same amount of wattage just doesn't get you as far, so they have to do an insane amount of wattage for just basic radio. Now basic radio is an analog signal or frequency modulation or amplitude modulation, and it's come a long way since then with digital signals and all this other kind of stuff, but the underlying physical properties of those kinds of signals basically still the same.
They need to create some sort of disturbance wave pattern that travels on either side of the actual important information wave that doesn't deflect or doesn't destroy other waves, but makes them bounce around. That's what they need to do. Almost like shielding on a Cat 6 cable, but invisible and with Wi-Fi. I've decided that's what I'm going to devote the next 30 years of my life to. That failed idea. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, the FBI guy is at it again. This is the only real thing that we haven't. We didn't talk about the NSA in this episode. Hold on a second, guys. The NSA is up to stuff, okay? And there's some bad things. And okay, we did it. We talked about the NSA. Now back to the FBI. I want to make sure that we talked about the NSA. It's been weird. We didn't talk about them. This guy, the FBI chief, is still going on a tirade. James Comey, still going on a tirade. We've talked about this in the last 2 or 3 episodes. He's really upset that Apple has this always-on encryption, or this, with the new iOS, and Apple cannot unlock it. So he's still going on about it. He's released some new statements, and these are really scary because now it's starting to look like the FBI, that is, and the Department of Justice or whatever, may actually try to force Apple, strong-arm tactics, to give them a backdoor or something. So that's worrisome, to say the least. That's the abridged version.
Yeah, that's the only reason that we want to mention it is because it's like the lava bit thing. It's like, no, you must give us a backdoor. And it's like, well, wait a minute. As recently as 2011, senior executives within the FBI were saying that encryption, personal encryption, was one of the best ways to thwart hackers that are after, your system, keep all your credit card data and financial information on your machine, your documents and things like that, encrypted, and only decrypt them whenever you need to use them, which TrueCrypt, for example, supports that really well. You can have an encrypted volume and just mount it when you need it, unmount it when you don't, and then if somebody breaks into your system or, click hijack whatever takes over your system, there's not really a lot they can do with the encrypted volume. And so it's a real, for less than 5 years, it's a really interesting about face, because an encrypted device is not going to prevent good old-fashioned police work. It more effectively prevents mass surveillance than good old-fashioned police work. So I'm very surprised at the about face. It's not a good thing that senior people don't get it. And I'm going to make a blanket statement that they just don't get it. And the law enforcement, like we the people, are the government, theoretically. But
yeah.
This is not beneficial. Not having encryption, or having an encryption that has a backdoor, is not really, the America of all countries, with the whole right to self-incrimination, I think that the founding fathers put that in the Constitution, speaks a lot about encryption, and they couldn't have conceived of something like encryption and things like that, but that you can have something encrypted, I think, is a lot like having something inside your own head. It's just a mathematical transformation. So it's really, and historically the position, there was briefly a encryption as munitions. We can't export strong encryption to Iran, things like that. And then we sort of went through an enlightening where it was like, well, okay, maybe that's okay. Maybe Iran can have encryption because it's just math. And now it seems like we're afraid of encryption again, which is very sad because it's a step backwards, not a step forward.
Go check out my new keyboard right here, guys. I'll end with this. I got the new WAS keyboard. And I got it with all blackout keys. I'm probably going to use it as my daily driver on my main rig. But I also really like the new Corsair RGB. I like some of the features on that one, the K70 RGB, because I just like the big volume rocker knob. That's what I want. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that'll be coming up in the next episode with all the hardware stuff. And I guess we'll see you guys over there. Closing statement is over. We should tell people to subscribe. We never do that. Just subscribe and rate and comment and like us on Facebook and Twitter, and follow somebody on Instagram. I don't have one, but follow somebody. And look us up on Tumblr. I don't have a Tumblr. Look us up on, what's that thing that, LinkedIn. I don't have that either. Yeah. All right. Bye.